So Concord has fallen. Sony PlayStation has deleted the game. It's just gone. Poof. Before we talk about that, though, I just wanted to mention offhand, I've been playing Space Marine 2, and it is awesome. It is non-stop, gloriously gory, pulse-pounding action, and in my mind, has cemented itself as one of the best ever Warhammer video games. I cannot stop thinking about playing it. I didn't want to stop, but I needed to make this video, and...
Thank you for calling Dr. Sanchez's office. This is Matilda.
Hey, Matilda, it's me again, calling back from this morning.
The Warhammer guy.
Yes, so, it's lasted longer than 4 hours.
Please hold. Dr. Sanchez, we got another one with a nerd boner.
Concord, the 5v5 hero shooter from Sony PlayStation, launched on August 23rd. And 11 days later, they said, "Welp, that's all, folks. We're shutting it down in 3 days." And they did just that. On September 6th, they removed the game from stores. They offered free refunds for all digital and physical buyers. Now, it's estimated the game only sold 25,000 copies, so at $40 a pop, that's a $1 million refund. So why would Sony give back $1 million? Well, because it's also estimated the game cost around $100 million to make over the course of its 8 years in development. This is a big, stinky commercial failure for PlayStation. Back in a July episode of Press Pause, I wondered, how is Concord supposed to survive? How is Concord supposed to survive? I had no answer then, and I guess Sony couldn't come up with one either. So it begs the question, why did Sony do this? 8 years and $100 million spent on an untested IP from a brand new studio that had never released a single game. Plus, they rolled it out with its own custom controller and secured it an episode in the upcoming animated video game anthology series, Secret Level. Two things that Sony really should have given to a game like Helldivers, or literally anything else in their stable. I'm all for new IPs, new risks, new games, but spending that much money and betting on a studio with no track record isn't just risky, it's illogical. How many people at PlayStation had to rubber stamp this disastrous behemoth at every turn? How many producers said, looking pretty good. Looking good. On that aforementioned Concord video, a viewer named Ed61730 commented, "Yeah, the Concord controller really shows how everything about this game has been the worst of PlayStation's hubris." Ed, I totally agree. His comment stuck with me. How else does this game get released? The game could have been delayed at its initial release, where it received an almost universally apathetic response, or it could have been delayed when both the closed and open betas for the game failed to clear 2,400 players on Steam. People were not interested. This game was DOA because the game had been declared boring by everyone, and Sony should have listened. And yet, nay. The train had left the station at speed. The special edition controllers had been slapped together. The secret level deal with Blur and Amazon had been struck, and this game was launching. Surely with a name like PlayStation Studios attached, Concord would muscle its way to some kind of success. I can't help but wonder if PlayStation's mindset was, if we build it, they will come. And it can be the blandest, most derivative thing imaginable. Players will consume anything we serve them. We are PlayStation. Pump it full of money, polish it to a shine, and the C-suite will be able to go full Scrooge McDuck in a pool full of profit. It's hard to think of a game that failed this hard, but hey, lessons must be learned, right? Will they learn though? Are PlayStation or other AAA publishers going to change anything? It's doubtful. A lot of attention has been turned to fair game $ as the next test for how these types of games will do. But I think a game might be launching even sooner that is operating under the same hubris as PlayStation was. Bandai Namco's Unknown 9 Awakening. Now, if you've heard of this game, and that is a big if, you might be thinking, hang on, Jeff, Unknown 9 is single player and Concord was live service. How can you compare them? Let me first say, that question is so you, and I'm glad you asked. I compare them because both are overextending themselves based on the idea that people will commit to a vast new IP universe off the rip. Both Concord and Unknown 9 are attempts to force their way into being massive IP. Concord cost as much as it did because Sony wanted a blockbuster, so they spent a blockbuster's budget, but that's not something you build, it's something you grow. And I think that's what's more important here, the manner in which these games are being developed and distributed. I don't think whether the game is live service or single player really matters. Every genre of gaming is oversaturated. Every project is a risk. What matters is whether the risk is a smart bet. Spending that many years and hundreds of millions trying to become an overnight success is stupid. Concord didn't deserve a mocap budget or 8 years of runway, not because it was Concord, but because who the heck is Firewalk Studios? What the hell is a Haymar? Why should the general audience care? Mega successful, mainstream aimed IPs are nurtured, not manufactured. The empty shell of what was formerly art has to come after the art. You can't sell action figures for movies nobody has seen. And you can't invent a blockbuster IP overnight, so you shouldn't budget for it. Unknown 9 is certainly going to try, though. Due to release in October of this year from publisher Bandai Namco's Canadian studio Reflector Entertainment, this game has some interesting similarities to Concord. It's from a studio with no releases under its belt that has also taken 8 years to get a project out the door. Unknown 9 is not just an unreleased game you have never heard of. It's also a comic book, a novel, and a podcast you have never heard of. And yes, they are calling it a story world, which is gross. I like how Tom Phillips of Eurogamer put it. What came first, the video game or the tie-in novel? Typically, it's the former, and only after it's proven to be successful. But this isn't the case with Unknown 9. The game was supposed to launch in 21, but it missed that release by 3 years so far. And so the comic book, podcast, and novel have all already dropped, and I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone talking about it. I believe the podcast's first episode is about where all the money has gone. Reflector Entertainment's CEO told Eurogamer, "What we're trying to achieve here, for the first time ever, I think, is a full story world. It's a universe and a meta-narrative that spans over 1 century. The output is across 9 different media, and it's multi-layered. You can buy the book and enjoy it as a standalone, but you will discover there are some hidden things. There are some codes in various media, and then we'll reveal on a website the links between those various media, and people will just go crazy seeing the overarching story." No one is going to go crazy. I mean, I don't know how it could even be said with a straight face that this is the first time for this story world when we already have multimedia franchises like Warhammer, Spider-Man, Keanu Reeves. It's been done, but maybe never in such a forced and desperate manner. This is the first of that kind, I guess. Even Concord knew not to develop a fucking podcast. Look, I don't know if Unknown 9 is going to be any good as a game, but I am extremely skeptical it's going to see the success it needs to justify the books, the comics, the collectible merchandise you know they are salivating to sell. My point is, risk is good. New IP is good. But be smart about it. Start small and scale up. That way failures like Concord aren't so colossal. I should go.